Lions just recovered a fumble.
Bits of wisdom.
It's Harry Houdini, I'm pretty sure.
That's when it kind of becomes Home Improvement After Dark.
I guess that leaves us at the question of the week.
Very good. I don't know if you noticed, Jordan, but a really cool aerial shot of the table. Reasonably funny.
User review.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Home and podcast time.
That's right. Binford Tools is proud to present a Home Improvement Podcast. My name is Adam. You all know my co-host, Jordan Garlic Gloves Lyons.
I do love my garlic.
And I said I wasn't feeling quick-witted.
That one you came up off the spot, huh?
Yeah, it was just right from the dome. Jordan, how you doing?
I'm good. How was your weekend?
It was good. My family visited me here in St. Charles, and I met my young nephew, Niall, for the first time, so that was very exciting. And then my other nephew, Ram, came in. I hadn't seen him in a while, so it was a grand weekend, to be sure. How was yours?
Wow, yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty chill. Saturday, my wife got a massage for our anniversary, so we finally redeemed that, so that was good and relaxing.
Ooh, Home Improvement After Dark. Early.
Yeah, couples massage, baby. And then after that, we had a barbecue / cookout at a friend's house, so lots of yard games, played some cornhole. You love cornhole, right? That's your thing.
I'm not.
They call you Adam Cornhole Dietz.
I like the ladder golf considerably more than cornhole. But
here's
cornhole's fine.
The real question is, how do you feel about can jam?
I think that is just something that a friend of ours sort of made up on his own. I think it's okay.
I don't think so, because there's can jam down here.
Since you brought it up, why don't you explain to people that don't know what it is?
Yeah, you basically take two trash cans and set them about 20 feet apart from each other, cut out a hole in the front, and throw a frisbee to your partner to try to hit it.
It makes us sound very like redneck in our upbringing. I think these are Richfield Township kind of games. Can jam. First you get 2 cans, then you get a frisbee. You're done.
Yeah, I mean it's a low investment game. I'm pretty sure we could make it for cheaper than what it costs, but those can jam people are probably rolling it.
Yeah, they probably are.
Rolling in frisbees.
That's right. Jordan, no more talk of can jam or our weekends, because I have something on the docket for us. You ready?
I'm kind of nervous.
Ratings and reviews for Home Improvement via IMDb. So instead of, we used to read the reviews like individual episodes at the end of the show, we always had Explorer
user.
DS.
Yeah, 6759 or something like that.
Yeah, he did one on Valentine's Day, which, I don't know, seemed funny at the time. Looking back,
Still doing it. I think I assumed that Explorer DS was a girl for some reason.
Hard to say, Jordan. You also...
Tony's a boy, but
Tony's
Explorer
a boy,
DS is a girl.
Gender confusion. So I found some just related to the series as a whole. I wanted to read the bad ones because they're more funny than the good ones are. So I'm just going to read a couple of these, and we can take it from there. But all right, so these are the worst ones for Home Improvement, the TV show, the show we do a podcast on. Here we go.
What's this about?
It's Home Improvement, the TV show, the show we do a podcast on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Author Lakenstein. 1 star out of 10. Not very funny. All lowercase. Period at the end. So selective punctuation. April 12th, 2007. Honestly, I don't know why this show lasted as long as it did. Well, humor is subjective, eh? But yeah, this show is incredibly unfunny if you ask me. Tim Allen is annoying. Jill is annoying. The boys are annoying. Al is annoying. The neighbor is annoying. It's just more annoying than funny. The plots are all the same. Tim makes Jill mad and has to make things right again. In the latter seasons, less said about them the better. Who the hell thinks cancer would be good for a damn sitcom? Yeah, great idea, jerks. So yeah, Home Improvement isn't a very good sitcom.
Sounds like Tony DiPola turned against the show.
Jordan, who the hell thinks cancer would be good for a damn sitcom?
I'm wondering that myself.
Great idea, jerks.
I'm also wondering, like, they hated the show so much. Why did they continue to watch?
They got to, like, season 6.
Yeah, they probably finished the whole series.
But here, I didn't read the whole thing, but I will skip down to this. So yeah, it's still better than The Nanny, though. I agree.
Shots fired.
The Nanny's probably the worst show I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Note to self: as I write a script, don't include any cancer because that's not funny.
Yeah. So you're gonna have to take out all those like hot dog cancer jokes that you got in there.
Yeah, I do have a lot of good ones. All right. One of the lamest sitcom ever. All right, so this one, this is someone from Hungary wrote this, and I want to be careful not to make fun of the translation so much.
English second language.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, if I was in Hungary and I had to write a review of Home Improvement, I wouldn't feel compelled to do so. But if I did, I would have difficulty. So I'm going to read it as is, but we're not going to laugh at any of the grammar stuff. Hello, everybody. First, I'd like to say sorry for my possible grammar mistakes. I wasn't born in an English-speaking country. Okay. I have seen a few, like 5 or 6 episodes of The Home Improvement, so I can't really tell that I have seen it all, and yes, you could tell me that in this case it is just not really fair to slam the series. But those episodes were so lame, terrible, that there are no existing words to describe it. Literally, they were painful to watch. The feeling I felt was close when I watched the Teletubbies. I just like to beat all the characters up because they are irritating. And the sons of the family, I feel like I just want to beat the crap out of them too.
Violent.
Yeah,
so violent. Everything's a little bit more aggressive in Hungary, I guess.
Oh man, that was in May of 2010. He wants to beat up the kids, and he compares it to Teletubbies. I've watched a bit of Teletubbies. I've never seen any real direct comparisons, but I could be wrong.
This is the first. Teletubbies is a little bit more colorful, I guess, than Home Improvement.
Definitely. The humor is less colorful, though. I think you could put that guy up on like child endangerment charges because threatening children.
He's ready to beat up Randy and Mark and Brad. We can't have that.
All right, last one. How can this junk get such a high score? October 4th, 2012. Warning: this review may contain spoilers.
Uh-oh.
Right, so it's here we go. The scripts awful. Follows the same Hollywood commercial formula. Predictable, boring, and not funny, except for perhaps for a 3-year-old infant.
Ouch. Scathing.
The actors, Tim Allen, not funny, no acting skills. The wife, so annoying. The neighbor, ridiculous idea. The kids aren't particularly talented. Even the soundtrack and effects suck.
I will say that you do not like the effects very much, especially early on.
Yeah, but just the soundtracks. Like, what's wrong with the soundtrack?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
I mean, we like it for our theme song.
The neighbor, ridiculous idea. The wife, so annoying.
Wait, is he saying that having neighbors is a ridiculous thing?
Yeah, he lives in the country. He's a hermit.
Oh, okay.
So that's it, Jordan. I just wanted to read a couple of those. There are several more. So maybe I will... Actually, there's 9 matching reviews. So maybe a month or 2 from now, I'll come back and read the next 3 and work our way through. I know we all like Home Improvement, especially us, Jordan. We do a podcast, and listeners, you like Home Improvement. But it's sometimes good to get the flip side of the coin.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone does.
Or just kind of laugh at some of the odd things people say.
These people must have just watched season 2 in isolation.
Well, the second guy only watched 5 or 6 episodes, and he said he wanted to beat up all the characters.
Well, it's probably good he didn't keep going then.
Yeah, man, what would he have done if he would have kept watching?
He would have made his way over to Hollywood, and we've been in trouble.
Jordan, speaking of watching, what did we watch this week?
We watched episode 57, Be True to Your Tool. This episode was the first written by Bruce Ferber, and he's going to do 21 total, so let's get used to Bruce. And Bruce is known a little bit for some Sabrina the Teenage Witch, one of your favorites, Coach, and Webster.
I do like Coach.
Yeah. Aired November 10th, 1993. The title references the Beach Boys song, Be True to Your School. Just a nice classic, I guess maybe high school alma mater hit.
I like the Beach Boys, but I was not familiar with this one.
Yeah, I don't know this one by the name of the song, but maybe by the tune. Who knows? Alternative titles. All
right, so Be True to Your Tool is the name of the episode. Jordan, how many did you come up with?
I've got 2 this time around.
Oh, I've got 4.
Shocker.
Go figure. All right, I'll do 2, and then we'll go 1, 1, 1.
Okay.
All right, so I'll go with this one first. Stand by your tool.
It's really good when you add the country music.
I thought that was the name of the title, and I wrote it down originally, like at the top of the piece of paper where
it's
I take my
notes.
It's
as good as the title,
so
for sure.
I had to write it down. So second one is my worst one. Grocery Goofballs.
Starring Rob Schneider.
We should also note that we didn't know we were going to record today, so this is kind of a fly-by-night operation.
Yeah, things are less thought out than usual. Yeah. All right, my first one is A Man of Integrity.
That's good. All right. Okay. Reciprocate this saw.
Wow. Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
All right, last one for me. Inferiority complex.
Haven't you used that before?
No.
You've done something very close.
I did obsessive compulsive murder.
I know the difference between those two.
Are you sure?
My last one. An ignorance in instruments.
All right, that's your weakest, I think.
Oh, that's my best.
All right, well, we have different tastes, I guess.
Should I explain it to you? You have Davidson, who is not, he's ignorant when it comes to tools. A tool is an instrument. It's alliterative. Slam dunk, it's a winner.
Well, I don't like it.
All right,
Sorry.
so if we pick the best one, we pick grocery goofballs then.
Yeah, that's obviously, that's going to be the title of your next screenplay, so... All right, so
Jordan,
plot
what's next?
synopsis this week by Bernie. Binford Tools has a prototype for a new power saw and wants Tim to promote it on Tool Time later that week. Tim tests it out at home and finds it is inferior and not worthy of the Binford name. Tim and Al tell their concerns to their boss. All right, so that's what we got heading into Be True to Your Tool. So let's open on the opening scene here. At Tool Time, it's the end of, I guess, a show that week, and people are cleaning up. You see some stuff and props on stage going backstage. The logo does bounce through, just bounce kind of like Tigger
I think the
would.
logo is just ready to get home. End of the show,
Yeah, it's
end
the
of the
long day.
Tired. Yeah, it'll just get out of here.
Everyone's cleaning up, but the logo bounces out early. Kind of selfish, if you ask me.
That's a dirt move.
It is
Dirty move. That's how the logo plays. He plays dirty.
He does. But Tim says it's been a good show. Al says, yeah, you only insulted me 17 times. And Tim says, oh, you're right. It's a great show. So this scene kind of sets up Al versus Tim in this scene. And also Tim versus the next character that's introduced. And that's Wes Davidson, the president of Binford Tools. So he's hanging out on the set and he walks on.
Can I ask you, do we think he was just an immediate replacement for John Binford?
Yeah,
Or was he around? Was he the president prior to the death of Binford?
I think he
B.O.B.?
was. I think he was replacement. I think he was replacement. Yeah.
Interesting. Carry on. I just had to get the history here.
I want to say this out. Did they say Davison a lot during this episode?
Yeah, so they say Davison a fair amount, which of course, we grew up in Davison, so when someone says that, I think you notice it more, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that might be a flawed point. But they say Davison a lot to the point where when I looked up this fellow on IMDb, I was expecting it to be Davison, but it's in fact Davidson.
Okay, yeah, because I saw it was Davidson, and then I saw them go back and forth, and it was a little confusing for me.
Very confusing, to the point where it almost took me out of the episode.
Yeah, it really just flubbed us. All right, so Al is a suck-up to the new president. He calls him Mr. President and shows him regal deference. Tim jibes him because Wes was the number 2 salesman when Tim was number 1, so we get that... Best damn salesman in the office, Tim Taylor. We hear that again. They're going to talk about a new tool that Wes wants him to introduce. It's a reciprocating saw. And on Friday, they want to do a sneak preview on the show. So, they kind of go... They're excited about this. This is a great idea. They're excited about the new tool. There is a little bit of joking back and forth between Tim and Wes, a little bit of animosity here in this scene.
It's playful at this point, though.
Yeah, it's playful at this point, but we see that there is a little bit of I'm not going to call him a villain, but he is the antagonist in this episode.
To be sure. He's very smarmy. He plays the part well.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do his bio at the end of the scene, but I do like. Al says that there's no need to be snitty.
Yeah, I thought it was snooty.
What's snitty?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask Richard. Give him a call. We got his number.
Yeah, you still have his cell? Yeah.
I got his cell and his home.
They end the scene by sharing their enthusiasm for having a new tool, and they kind of clasp hands.
Yeah, so they start out.
Open.
Yeah, they start out angry at each other, but the tools bring them back together,
as they so often do.
Yeah,
I
agree.
want to talk a little bit about President Davidson here, Jordan.
Please.
So President Davidson, Wes Davidson, to be more specific, was played by Joel Polis. 112 credits to his name. He did 2 episodes of Home Improvement, so I liked him in this episode, so I was kind of hoping there might be more episodes than just 2, but he doesn't come back again until next season. Done a lot of TV appearances of late, films such as The Thing, The Rookie, and Tumbleweeds, but I saw this guy, Jordan, and I recognized him from something.
What did you recognize him from?
Did you recognize him?
He seemed familiar, but I couldn't place him.
All right, so Seinfeld episode, The Comeback. George, the ocean called, and it's running out of shrimp.
Uh-oh, Jerk Store.
Yeah, that. Wes Davidson is the guy that delivers that line, and then George spends the entirety of the episode saying, trying to figure out how to burn him. The jerk store called, and it's running out of you. So same character.
Wow.
Very, very. I really like that. It's one of my favorite episodes.
He's a good foil.
Yeah, definitely.
Plays the foil well. All right, so let's move on to the next scene if you'd like.
I would like to do that, yes.
You would like to do that? Okay.
Yeah,
so
it's in our best interest.
All right, Brad, Mark, and Randy are raiding the house. Brad's like up on some sort of ladder looking where the cookies used to be hidden. They're trying to find some good food, and there apparently is not any in the house. Turns out that Jill has been a little bit too busy to get groceries with her working late and then another library fundraiser.
Wait, you mean Jill's busy? This is the first time we've ever heard anything like that.
It's
Jordan,
also the first time we hear about the library fundraiser, right?
I have a quick request. Can we refer to the boys as the grocery goofballs for the rest of the recording?
I'll do my best.
Do your best, thanks.
All
Either
right.
that or piranhas and blue jeans.
Either one is pretty apropos. All right, so there's some fennel jokes. Mark thinks that fennel is what shirts are made out of.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be like linen or I don't know. He just doesn't know what fennel is. But it doesn't sound like wool. It doesn't sound
like cotton or like linen or...
It's a bad fennel joke, but there are some good fennel jokes out there, I think.
Yeah, well, have you ever been to fenneljokes.org?
Oh, it's a huge site.
An entire organization just dedicated to coming up with fennel jokes?
Non-profit, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well,
nobody's profited off of fennel jokes.
Yeah, nobody makes fennel money anymore.
All right. So Jill, like you said, Jill comes home. Hasn't really had time to get groceries. She's got a really bad idea, and that is to give food or give money to the boys so they can go grocery shopping. Yeah, these like 12, 11, and 8-year-old boys are going to be great. They're grocery goofballs, to be honest.
It's almost as if this idea was just happens for the plot, It's almost as if they need something to fill the time in this episode.
And boy, they did. What kind of weird things did you used to make growing up for yourself? You had to make your own stuff at home on the weekends or whatever, I'm sure, just like I did. Mom or dad's not around to feed you. What'd you come up with?
Jordan, you have my upbringing very, very wrong. I didn't make any of my own food.
You didn't try anything? Like, I don't know. I just remember...
Why would I want to try and make my own food when I know that the food that my parents make is going to be edible? So much better. Yeah.
Well, I just feel like sometimes on the weekends or something for lunch, I would... lots of hot dogs on the weekends or jelly-only sandwiches because of my allergies. Or for some reason...
Jordan, you have allergies?
Rumor has it. Also, I one time made a turkey sandwich, and instead of actually adding real bacon to it, I added bacon bits. It was crunchy, but not good.
Yeah, not especially good in a sandwich. I remember trying to make French toast in high school with a friend of mine, and it was really disgusting, but that's about all I've got.
You should have asked me. I'm a professional at that.
You weren't then, though. You were just still in the minor leagues of French toast making. So.
I wasn't playing A-ball?
Yeah, you were just playing A-ball. But no, I don't have a lot of experience in that field. I think as I got older, I tried to make things as I lived on my own. That didn't work out well, but that's less funny and just kind of more pathetic. So.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. So I just
assume we move on.
All right, so yeah, the boys are going to get some...
grocery goofballs.
I feel like the grocery goofballs, if I were them, I would pretty much just buy like gummy worms and sprinkled donuts, and that's all that.
It's kind of like a shame on you, Jill kind of moment, too. So, like, they could have come home with just a bunch of donuts or whatever, and it would have been basically the same effect. I actually kind of give them credit for trying to buy what's off the list, which we'll talk about later.
And you know what? Actually, they're pretty good, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But, so Jill's going to let them become the grocery goofballs. Tim comes home, and he's pretty stoked. He talks about how, he asks how the best family in the world is, and Jill knows right away that something's up. He's got a new tool.
Got a new tool, baby.
Yeah, baby.
And he's excited to try it out. So.
Yeah, and Brad's going to help him move the chassis so that he can fiddle around with it in the garage. So that's
if not for Brad, who's going to help him move the chassis otherwise? So it's good. It's good Brad was there.
Yeah, thank goodness. He's a strong boy.
The meat man's out of town, presumably. Another one of those meat conferences.
The meat convention.
Big meat. All right. So we are in the garage, and we head in there. And Jill, I think, walks in and approaches Tim, and we find out he's been tinkering with it for a couple of hours. And bad news, Jordan, it's an inferior tool.
Yeah, he's got an inferiority complex starting right now.
I didn't understand that when you said it, but now I do. So he feels conflicted. He doesn't want to push it on the show. Immediately he knows that this is not as good as other Binford products, and he feels he has a responsibility, and he just doesn't feel comfortable pushing on the show. Jill says, maybe Davidson didn't know that it was a poor tool. She kind of gives him the benefit of the doubt.
He's been out of the game for so long.
And Tim said that even when they were salesmen, he didn't know nearly as much as Tim. So, go talk to him, mano a mano, and perhaps he'll decide to pull it on his own. But give him a chance.
Yeah, so he does. In the next scene, we go to Mr. Davidson's office. I'm going to let you describe what's going on in his office.
Man. All right, so I wrote Saved by the Bell-esque.
Yes, it has, the background is like that.
It looked like, what is it? Where's the hangout in Saved by the Bell? Is it the oh man.
I don't remember what it's called.
We have to look it up. Carry on with your description, and I'll find out the name of the.
All right, so yeah, it's very 90s, but modern 90s. It's got some like purple in the background. It's got
purple.
See-through telephone, and also like a modern chess set that's also see-through.
It's called the Max, so I was close with the mix.
Okay.
Yeah, so it looks like the Max. Purple. It looks like the kind of place where nobody would ever be able to do any work. He has it's like the, what do you even call it? There's a wall behind that's like see-through kind of.
Has a bunch of like squares.
Yeah, where you can kind of see through it. Light can get through it, but you can't actually see through it.
It's real dumb.
There's a putting green in there. There's a globe. It's like
there's a see-through globe and a regular globe.
I didn't see the see-through one. It's one of the most like pronounced. How do I say this? Like, it really made the show feel old to me. Like, I don't often watch Home Improvement and think like that everything looks super outdated, or maybe I'm just used to it because we watch it every week. But when I saw this, I thought, wow, we are really in 1993.
Yeah, and they were.
All right, and they were, so that does make sense.
Wes's office is not great, but
cut to the chase.
Yeah, the secretary lets Al know that everyone loves him, so that joke has carried through to season 3. Also, I noted that Al's wearing a suit. He doesn't do that very often. He looks pretty good, though.
Yeah, he has like
out of the flannel,
a plaid tie, and yeah, it's a good look. They walk in. Tim he cuts the chase. As I said, he wants production scrapped. He immediately he offers him tea, something else, and he says, I want the whatever reciprocating saw pulled from the lineup.
Al doesn't. He doesn't quite back him up.
He has difficulty here. He's coward. He's a coward. He's cowardice.
He does want tea though. He
has difficulty with authority. But Wes comes back with a point that is, Wes says that they made it lightweight for ladies, which I feel like if someone said that to you, you would have a difficult time saying like that he was wrong. It's kind of a compelling opening point. Eventually, he isn't able to argue as effectively, but it's sort of hard to argue that.
I would say that saw is pretty small, so I don't know how light it's going to be anyways.
But I'm just saying,
how heavy
general,
it's going to be.
If you're arguing that you're making something lighter so that more people can use it, or it's easily available for men and women, I think that's a pretty good point to make.
But Tim's not swayed because he knows Wes. He knows what he's after.
He doesn't think women can use tools, which is
probably
more of an issue. But whatever.
He doesn't think there's a lot of demand for women using reciprocating saws. That's his argument back to that.
Yeah.
Wes is really dismissive. So dismissive, in fact, that he just kind of gets up and starts playing putt-putt on his little green.
He starts putting. We find out Wes is trying to, I guess he doesn't say this, but he's found an innovative manufacturing technique, but really translated that. He's trying to cut costs. And it's contentious, Jordan. It's very contentious. But Tim says, I'm not going to promote it. And Wes says, well, hey, we'll get rid of Tool Time, or better yet, we'll find a new host.
Oh,
so yeah. Tim pointing his finger at Wes. He says, don't you threaten me. And then Al
lingering
awkwardly. Yeah.
Al just doesn't quite know what to do in this scene. He, like you said, he has a little bit of trouble with authority. And he's not really, I don't know. We'll see later on that he gets his gumption up a little bit, but he's not there right now. So let's go back home. I don't know. Things are there's a lot of stress going on right now in this episode. So we should get back to the grocery goofballs, I think.
Grocery goofballs walking in. They got groceries. They couldn't find the garlic gloves, Jordan.
Yeah, I found them. That's my nickname.
Yeah,
but they can't find them. And they got a bunch of junk food with their leftover money. And as I mentioned earlier, they're pretty crafty. They got a bunch of discounts. They got dented cans, which are just going to taste the same as normal cans for a discount. They got some bruised fruit for a discount and some smashed crackers for a discount. So they figured out a way to get all their food and some extra that they liked. So
do you think Big Daddy copied this? In Big Daddy, that's
yeah,
what
they
he
throw
does
the
with
cans.
Frankenstein throws the can on the ground. Do you think that someone watched this episode and they thought, gotta put this in an Adam Sandler flick?
I don't know. Maybe Adam Sandler was a big Tim Allen fan.
Almost certainly.
Seems likely. This whole problem could have been alleviated if Jill just gave them like an extra $5 for a little like reward for making them go shopping.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have had that spaghetti al dente joke.
Yeah, it was a really good joke.
Which killed. Tim enters, and he's, you can tell he's sad. It's Sad Tim, which is my favorite Tim. No. He walks in and he finds out what the boys have done. They run upstairs to do whatever they do in their rooms most of the time. And he explains the situation. And Jill is more concerned about it than Tim. Tim doesn't really think that the show could go on without him, but Jill is a bit more of a realist and says, it could. Maybe there's a compromise here. But this is where Tim really hammers home, his viewers depend on him. This is kind of his reputation at stake. He just doesn't want to back a tool he doesn't believe in. And this is nice. Jill immediately says, I'm with you, Tim. I got your back.
I think initially her response is a little bit fearful, thinking about providing for the family and such. But then pretty quickly she does say, whatever you decide, I'm behind you. So that is nice. So
and they embrace.
They do embrace. Home Improvement After Dark, perhaps.
PG version.
PG version. All right, so later at home, Mark brings down a sweet fighter jet that seems to have gotten broken, and he brings it over to Tim, who had fixed it before, but the glue did not hold, so he's going to try to fix it again. And in this scene, Tim is kind of testing out Mark's reaction to Tim possibly losing his job and having to go back on the road and being a salesman. So he talks a little bit about how at one point he was Binford's best tool salesman, and everyone already knows this, including Mark, and he's probably heard enough of it, and he mentions that he's been told before. Tim tries to play up the angle of how fun it is living on the road initially. He's talking about living in hotels and not having to make your bed and then getting sweet rental cars. But then the reality of missing holidays and calling your kids from the road, that sinks in for Tim. And Mark doesn't really like the idea of it. He says, you'd never be home. And that's the truth. That is the truth that Tim is going to wrestle with here. So he knows that something's got to give.
Something has got to give. Jordan, ditto. I agree with you. Actually, I didn't get nearly as much out of this scene. I wrote, Mark needs help with model plane. Tim gets nostalgic about selling tools. So I'm glad you took the scene, because I didn't, I don't know. I didn't take it as being as meaningful as perhaps it was, but that's why, you're the yin to my yang.
Yeah, we complete each other. The next scene is going to be our first glimpse of Wilson. And
boy, is it meaningful.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of what, you thought about the last scene. So let's go ahead and play a clip.
Easy. Play that clip, yo.
It stinks, Wilson.
Well, Tim, you can't expect the compost heap to smell like fine perfume.
No, I'm referring to the situation with that weasel Davison. It's a lose-lose situation. I either promote a tool that I don't believe in, or I risk losing my job.
That is quite a pickle.
Yeah, right, Wilson. It's a real predicament.
No, Tim, I was referring to the big dough between the coffee grounds and the eggshells.
Wilson, could we?
I'm sorry, Tim. It was Robert Ingersoll, a 19th century lawyer, who said, "It is a blessed thing that in every age somebody has had the courage to stand by their convictions."
A lawyer said that?
On the other hand, I'm reminded of a general named Pyrrhus.
That's right.
He was a Greek general who fought the Romans, and his army won the war, but he lost so many men it might just as well have been a defeat. Today, we call that a Pyrrhic victory.
Wilson, what are you saying? That this might not be worth the fight?
Well, it wasn't for Pyrrhus. It may be for you. You see, Tim, when it's a question of integrity, there are no easy answers.
I could come back. Well, you're right, Wilson. This is really a pickle. And I don't mean that dill.
I would say one of the least memorable Wilson scenes we've had to date.
Easily.
So he's composting. Jordan, you told me. I thought he was just poking around at trash. So I'm glad that we did
He
take
might
a
as
break
well
and talk
be.
about this.
He's about that useful in this scene.
That's a metaphor for this scene. Tim explains the situation, and Wilson gives him perhaps, like I said, the least useful advice he's ever given him. He cites a man who goes by the name of Robert Ingersoll, who said that you should stand by your convictions. I guess I can see why the song was entitled that. So stand by your convictions. You have to believe in what you say and what you do. But he also cites a famous general who noted that he fought in a war, and he may have won the war, but he did lose men. He lost the men. So Wilson says there are no easy answers.
A question of integrity is hard to answer.
And then Tim looks up at the sky and is presumably kind of pissed at Wilson because he didn't really give him anything.
Did you see this transition into the next scene?
It's cool. I actually thought it was cool.
Yeah, so they have, like you said, they ended with this scene with Tim looking up to the sky, kind of contemplating.
It's night, so it's kind of dark, and it's a bit of a silhouette, yeah.
Yep, and they leave him in the same exact position, but they transition to the next scene where he's on tool time, different outfit, different set, and he's doing the same exact thing, and he's contemplating what he's going to do in this upcoming show in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really cool, and something that is kind of strange for them to have done that. I wonder who came up with that idea. It was a far cry
from that Saw action that they did after the cold open, where they sawed around Tim and Al.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we gotta reach out to that person on IMDb and tell them about this effect and the soundtrack that came with it. They didn't like it, but no, it actually was pretty cool. Tim he's contemplating. I think he's holding some coffee. He's in full suit right before the show starts, and Al comes up to him and helpfully asks, "What are you gonna do? What's the plan?" You would think they would have talked about this beforehand, but it's a TV show, so they didn't. But there's not much time backstage because the show is about to start. And Jordan, it's a good scene. It's kind of a difficult scene to explain, so I think we're going to go ahead and play a clip. A little bit longer than usual, but hopefully hearing the audio will do it better justice than we could. So let's go ahead and play that clip.
Today we finish up What's New this week on Tool Time. Got a little surprise for you. How would you guys all like to see a top-secret prototype of a new tool from Binford? Well, prepare your eyes, cover them if you're a child, because here we go. Whoa, he's right. Look at this. The new Binford 6100 reciprocating saw. Huh? Every tool Binford makes goes through a rigorous quality control system to make sure it's top of line. And the Binford 6100 bombed out big time. Now, if you want to walk away, I'll understand.
I never walk away from a tool in need. That's right. The Binford 6100 bombed out of every single test we threw at her.
And I bet you're wondering, who's responsible for making a tool like this? Well, it's the new president of Binford Tools, Wes Davis. He's right over there. A man who doesn't mind a bad tool, as long as it's made by somebody else. Because if this says Binford on it, it's got to be the best. I think Wes Davison deserves a big round of applause. Wes, come on over here, Wes. Come on. It's because of this man, you'll only see quality products in your hardware store. Wes, tell us a little bit about the problem you had developing the 6100.
Please, tell us.
I'd be glad to, guys. We found that the motor was a little underpowered.
And the casing?
And the casing would have been a little stronger had we used metal.
What are you going to do with it?
Well, in the interest of the consumer, I've decided to hold off production.
I mean, isn't this the kind of guy you want selling your tools? Yeah.
Hope you're still with us after that long clip. Probably our longest clip we've ever played, but it is hard to explain. So the scene begins with tool time, and Tim comes out serious. He doesn't give Al a flannel-induced nickname or anything like that, which is always a surprise to us and a surprise to Al. Predictably, we have Davidson standing just
ensuring that Tim does his bidding.
Yeah, just right by the camera. I mean, he's about 5 feet away, and they start the show by promoting this reciprocating saw. And we don't really know what's going to happen. Tim brings it out, and he kind of talks a little about it, and he says that all Binford tools have to pass certain inspections, certain tests, and there's a pause. And he says this one bombed, and it's a shock.
It is a shock.
Were you surprised? What do you think he was going to do? I hadn't seen this one.
Yeah, I didn't remember I definitely didn't remember this scene. I kind of thought that he was just going to straight up say it was terrible, but he does it in a much...
it's more clever than you might expect.
Yeah, and more graceful. Like, he kind of brings Wes into it without screwing Wes over.
Would you say he trapped Wes?
Trapped him? Sure, why not?
Yeah, Tim's kind of a trap king. So, like, he says that, and then Al kind of pauses, and he gives Al an eye. He says, you don't have to stand by me if you don't want to, and Al decides to stay out there.
He never walks away from a tool in need.
It's a classic flipping of the script, you might say.
Yeah.
So he brings Wes out and kind of plays it up as Wes is this sort of tool hero because he found out that it didn't pass the inspection. He said, "We're not going to make it." Well, that wasn't.
He said, "I'm gonna do what's right for the consumer."
Yeah, but that obviously wasn't Wes's intentions, but it has to be now because it's. I mean, I suppose like in theory he could have just been like, "We're not releasing this episode." The 30
all
people in the studio.
all those people in the audience, there would have been just a viral backlash against Binford.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't have happened, but it makes for a good.
If Twitter was around, maybe around
for
then.
Sure. Yeah, it makes for a good scene. But essentially Wes is stuck. Tim has bested him. He's bested Wes, and they decided to. Wes says he's going to take it off the line. What does he bring out, Jordan?
The Binford Tool Masher. It's also got another technical name, but he calls it the Binford Tool Masher.
I thought it was called the Binford. I wrote Big Boy. That can't be right.
It might be. There was
the
several names.
Big Boy.
It was a Bigford. I don't know. There was like 3 different names that he called it.
I think I want to start calling myself the Binford Big Boy.
That's fine.
New nickname. Al lets Wes put the tool in what it basically amounts to some kind of a compactor, and it comes out as a paperweight. Heidi sure is flummoxed when Tim asked her to bring it out. Did you notice that?
Yeah, she's not ready for it. She knows that thing's dangerous.
She's like, okay, Tim.
It's one of those rare instances where this overpowered machine does not hurt anyone.
No, in fact, it helps everyone.
Except for that tool. That poor saw.
Yeah, well, that was a cheap saw, Jordan. I know a cheap saw when I see it. That was cheap.
All right. So home later on, Jill watched the show. She's proud of Tim. Tim is sitting by the fire, stoking the fire, if you will, and she's proud that he stood up for what he valued. And this is a terrible scene, actually, as it goes on.
It's really
towards
bad,
the end. Jill says it wouldn't have been such a bad thing to lose his job because she would have been the sole breadwinner, kind of a role reversal. Plus, she would have been able to hang out with Jake the pool boy while he was on the road. Tim aptly says, we don't have a pool. But apparently, now that they make less money, they would be able to install a pool into their Michigan backyard. So it's really funny. And
Jill's all horned up, baby.
And for Jake the pool boy.
Jake the pool boy. It goes on a long time.
Way too long.
Yeah, you wonder what would have happened if they would have just ended with her saying she was proud of Tim. Probably would have been a lot better.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah. They do end with a nice kiss by the fire.
Oh, yeah.
But Jill's just thinking about Jake the pool boy, so
yeah, poor Tim.
Hard to kiss her at this point.
Poor Tim. Then some outtakes, and
it's a good blooper.
The first blooper is pretty funny. Jill is just the scene that we just saw. Jill is sitting on the couch watching Tool Time, and the theme music comes on, but it's so loud that it scares Jill, and laughs her head by all. And then there's a second, less funny Tool.
I didn't watch this one. I skipped out on this.
Okay, a less funny outtake where Tim is kind of messing with an overhead camera. Haven't had a lot of overhead camera shots in a while. I know that's sad for you.
We had an aerial shot in this episode, but I forgot to note it. When the boys are looking for groceries in the early scenes.
You mean the grocery goofballs are looking for groceries?
Ooh, how embarrassing. The grocery goofballs. Still on that Halloween app. The grocery goofballs are looking for food at the camera.
No doubt Dracula put him up to this.
Yeah, Dracula. We've been corresponding, actually. He says he wants a cut of the money we make off donations. I tell him there's not enough.
Yeah, he can't get any of that.
Yeah, come on.
So yeah, that is the episode. Episode 57, Be True to Your Tool.
Roll credits, fade to black, be true to your tool. Jordan, highs and lows.
Overall, I thought it was not a bad episode. Highs, I did enjoy Wes. What was his name? Joel, you said? Who played
Joel
Wes?
Polis.
Joel, I thought he did a good job. He plays a good foil in this episode. Swarmy is a word that you described him as, and I think
I said smarmy.
Smarmy. Yeah, he was good. He was good in this episode. I like how Tim ends up handling the whole scene without help from Wilson, because Wilson provides zero help. Jill doesn't really provide much help either, besides saying maybe look for a compromise. So I guess she is more helpful than Wilson here. Just a decent script. The boys and their kind of plot wasn't great and handled very well. And they, as soon as they get back from the grocery store, they're pretty much worthless in this episode. So that was a little disappointing. But other than that, Lowe's, the pool boy jokes were pretty horrible, and Wilson's bad advice. But, overall, something different we haven't seen before. And Tim comes out as a hero, and so does Wes, thanks to Tim.
Hi, it's grocery goofball stealing the show. No. You said much of what I would have said, but I'll just say it again in a
let's be redundant.
More effective way. Highs. Yeah, I like this one. It's not one that I'd seen before. It's I think it's unique in that, like, for this season, it seems to me like there's been like great episodes or Home Improvement great episodes where we thought like, oh, these are one of the best ones we've ever looked at, and there's been really bad ones. I would put this one more in the middle. Hedging up towards the top. I did enjoy it quite a bit. After the first scene, I didn't necessarily know that I would, because I thought, oh great, another character that the show is going to act like is meaningful that we've just now met, which is a fairly common Home Improvement thing, a la John Binford's death. But I liked it. Yeah, I really like the scene at the end with Tim where he gets where he bests Wes. I think just in general the problem that Tim faces is, not true to life from my perspective, but I can imagine someone in a field like this, whether it be sales or any kind of a field where you're kind of pushing a product, feeling kind of conflicted about pushing a product that maybe was inferior. So I think that's an interesting thing for them to do with the show, something they haven't done before, and something that I guess I hadn't even really considered. So I thought the conflict was good. Some good jokes in here, some bad jokes to be sure, but I would definitely also say that President Davidson was a very good kind of cameo. It was a good appearance for him. I thought he was very strong in the role. He played it very, very well. In terms of lows, the Jake the Pool Boy stuff's pretty bad. It reminded me a little bit of the Jill doing the hippie stuff, sort of. It was also like about the same time in the episode, so it definitely reminded me of that.
What if Maureen and Wes teamed up to take down Tim?
I don't know. I should look this up, but I don't know if Maureen's ever coming back.
Oh gosh.
Wes will come back next year, so that'll be exciting.
Next year?
Yeah, I think it's next season.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't see him for a while.
Yeah. Lowe's, grocery goofballs. Like you said, that subplot was pretty stupid and kind of just there to kill time. Why would she ever think they could get groceries?
I say we follow the boys as they do go grocery shopping.
See, that's an episode. We never get that. We never get to see the boys do anything outside the house.
They do not leave these like 3 sets very often. Although they did go to Wes's office today.
And that was pretty good. So they should try doing it more. Whenever they go to different sets, it's always just they go to the restaurant that they've used 4 times, or it's like, well, that one they were at like the Ohio gas station, which I guess like the episodes
they made good use of that.
Where they go to different sets, though, it's usually pretty bad.
It's true.
I feel like, but the bowling alley one, obviously, exception to the rule.
We just want to see the boys do something stupid or follow Al when he does crazy stuff.
Yeah, pop panorama, something. But
something.
All in all, a good episode. I enjoyed it.
And I think you had mentioned that we did get a piece of mail that pertains to this episode in particular. So I think we should open the mailbag.
Yeah, can you rip open that mailbag real quick?
I'll do it.
You've got mail.
This question comes from at Linda Sta on Twitter. The question is, haven't seen the episode yet, so not specific to this one, but who was this episode's MVP or favorite character for you? Jordan, what do you think? Who's the episode MVP, or who's the character you like the most?
It seems like low-hanging fruit, but
yeah,
I'm going to go with Tim. Tim, for once, doesn't really do too many stupid things here. The only really bad mark on, I think, Tim in this episode is when he makes that joke about women not using tools at all. But other than that, he is pretty level-headed throughout. He is reasonable and and wants to stand up for his integrity. And then he figures out a way to do so without compromising his job and making Wes hate him, but also benefiting all of the Binford consumers. So, shout out to Tim.
I would say the real MVP is the library fundraiser, just for its continued relevance and staying power throughout
It
this
does
third
have staying
season.
power. That is for freaking sure.
It's like,
just
it's like
imagine what
a
they're
cat
going
with 9 lives. It just won't go away. You know?
When Jill finishes this fundraiser, I mean,
There should be I hope there's an episode where she finishes the fundraiser and then she just like kicks back, has a margarita, you know, smokes a couple cigs on the couch and just lives life.
they're probably going to like name the library after her.
I hope so. No, my MVP would be Tim as well. It was a good Tim episode. Like you said, sans him insinuating that women don't ever use tools, but that's kind of just something we see sporadically on the show, though not as often as people think. The scene where he tricks Wes is very, very good, and it's like I said, it's a real conflict. He shows real emotion. And
who's the LVP?
Range. LVP?
Wilson for his non-advice?
Yeah, that, or like...
The reciprocating saw?
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. When Mark comes in with that busted up plane, it's some not great acting.
But Mark has a great fennel joke.
Actually, that's the LVP line of the episode. That doesn't make any sense. But thanks for your question at Linda Sta. And Jordan, we should head into Sean's social media corner. I wish we would have named it something different. It's too hard to say.
Sean's social... oh my gosh, you're right. It is too hard to say. Sean's social media corner. If you want to reach out like Linda Sta, you can do so. Go to our website, thehomeandpodcast.com. There is a tab to connect with us there. You can also reach out to us on Twitter at @HomeandPodcast or at Facebook, facebook.com/HomeandPodcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, help us to keep this thing running, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. Receive special rewards such as Home and Podcast stickers, access to episodes like our Jungle to Jungle recap. You can go to patreon.com/HomeandPodcast or on our website. There is a support tab there as well. Adam, you said you had a poll last week on Twitter that was had some early results. Did you get more results from that?
I actually did end up getting some more results on that, Jordan. I'm glad you asked.
Oh.
I'm about to find out the results right now. If you can just give me a second.
Boy, the anticipation is killing me.
Yeah, Jordan, it's interesting. So the poll was, which of these classic movies is the scariest? So we did the Halloween episode last week. I wanted to ask a horror-related question. 15 votes. 13% said Jaws. 14% said The Omen. 20% said Halloween. 53% said The Exorcist. And I would tend to agree. Jordan, you've probably seen Jaws. Have you seen any other?
I have not seen The Exorcist, but I've heard that it's scary. So at least people have beat it into my head that it's the scariest one.
Very, very, very scary. Other than that, I don't think anything else to report. Good week on social media, so continue to reach out on Twitter, and we can get a dialogue going. I also wanted to shout out a fan of the show. We got a real nice email from a fella that goes by the name of Mark. Very kind words, mostly in reference to me, but he also said you were okay, Jordan. So
I was okay.
Thanks, Mark, for reaching out.
That's pretty good.
The show.
Most people hate on me pretty bad, so thank you, Mark.
The Reddit thread for this show is just like everybody's dogging Jordan. So
if there's a Reddit thread for our show,
if there's a Reddit thread for our show, it's because one of us started it. So thanks everyone for reaching out. Donate to the show, review us on iTunes, do all the things Jordan just said. So
yeah, do what I say, people. All right, Adam, it is your turn for the question of the week.
It is my turn. Get ready to do some editing. I need to think. All right, I'm ready. All right.
Oh, good. It's always good when you're laughing before the question.
All right, Jordan. So this episode prominently featured the grocery goofballs.
Oh no!
If I could just learn a little bit more about where you get your groceries and your grocery process, I think the listeners would really be interested. You can feel free to make it quick if you want.
Oh, that's really funny. All right. So right next to us, there is two choices. There is a Walmart or a Publix within, I don't know, a minute drive. I'm a Publix guy. I like Publix. I like their service. I like their produce. It's all around just great. And they seem to remember me and my wife. So
don't flatter yourself.
Real good people. Real good people there at Publix.
I would buy food that had been tossed on the ground before. I would happily go to a Walmart and get groceries. What a terrible...
Yeah, it's a bad experience all the way around. It's just crazy busy, and I don't know. Just don't like it. Just not a big fan. They do got cheap microwaves though.
They got cheap microwaves.
They
at
got
Walmart,
cheap
don't they?
microwaves there.
Yeah. So Publix, Jordan. Cool. How long does it typically take you to get groceries?
I have a list. I use Wunderlist, the app, and that's where I keep my list.
Because to write it down on a sheet of paper would just be
Too
silly.
much work. I'm just trying to save the environment. This app, and this app also, it's synced with Andrea's phone, so we just kind of update it as we go. That way, whoever's going grocery shopping, they don't have to worry about missing out on things. And I stick to the list. I get things pretty quickly, but I'm a little bit of a glutton for the buy one get one deals that they have going
Never
on.
met a buy one get one he didn't like. All right, cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, great question, Adam. Let's hear your answer, please.
It's really Jordan, we have a lot of grocery stores close.
Naturally, St. Charles, Illinois.
Yeah, predominantly, it's a grocery town. We have a Jewel-Osco like 30 seconds away, but we don't like to go there because it's too expensive. And
A what?
A Jewel-Osco.
I've never heard of that.
Look it up. It's expensive, and I don't think the people that work there are very nice, so we don't go there. There's a Trader Joe's about 13 to 14 minutes away that we go to every Sunday.
Can you tell me about Trader Joe's? I've never been there, but I
love
hear
Trader Joe's.
People always say they love it. I want to hear about it.
It's great. It's like kind of small, and it's inexpensive, and they have like unique kind of items like what do I get there that's unique? Sriracha potato chips is a unique thing I get there. It's just the people are nice. They have good free samples. There's always coffee available. There's multiple free samples.
You're a free sample guy, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would go there if it wasn't for the free samples, but it's definitely an added bonus.
Yeah,
I just really like Trader Joe's. I always have a good time there.
A good time. If you're having a good time at a grocery store,
Jordan, I'm having a great time at Trader Joe's, and they're not even a sponsor of the show. So
Not yet.
You might want to find out where the closest Trader Joe's is to you and make the drive.
I don't think there's a close one. Is there a lot of farmers markets around St. Charles?
As in like farmers markets with tables, or is that the name of a grocery store?
Like with tables.
Okay, I was thinking like Farmer Jack or whatever it used to be in Michigan. I would assume that there is, though I've never been to one. So
there's one in St. Cloud it's pretty nice. Get some of our veggies there every once in a while.
Cool. So. Hey Jordan, what are we covering next week?
Yeah. So after that great question by Adam, those questions are usually reserved for me. But
I wanted to do a little bit of a role reversal.
A little bit of balance there. So the next episode we're going to cover is dollars and cents, and you can imagine that cents is spelled S-E-N-S-E.
At this point, that's been used so much that I think it would be weirder if it was spelled C-E-N-T-S.
That would
be more strange at this point than to see it as it is. But Jordan, I will look forward to that one. Money involved? I think there's probably going to be a conflict between Tim and Jill. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. But thank you for listening to this episode. Jordan, thank you for joining me, and I guess I should say take care.
Take care, everybody.